And I think we're live. Hello, everyone. If you guys can hear me and see at least one of us, let me know in the comments. Looks like... Oh, I can hear myself. I hate when that helps. Oh, my God. Oh, I hate when that happens.
It like totally messes with your brain.
It does. I'm like, why am I talking in my head? Stop. All right, so tonight so far we've got Cannibal Creep from Australia. Hello. I'm hoping it's warm down there, and it must be very, very late. Mary is snowed in Wisconsin. She's literally hunkered down. Yolanda's here, as well as Meghan Martin, which every time I see it, in my brain says Meghan Markle. So, oh my God, the princess is here. German mom in NC is here from North Carolina. And then we've got Simju is here tonight. Oh, yay, they hear all three. Oh, Celiac. Ooh, all right, just spit. Celiac Kitten, she's so worth it, from Oklahoma. Megan, you're a princess in our eyes now. For now, forever, and Classy Chicks World, you will be a princess. So you have to accept the title.
No.
So you can tell we are always professional and on it, as always. Hey, Herb from Alabama. Nice. Jackie from Southern California. Wish I was there. So yes, hello. A long absence, unintended absence on our part, because this movie was supposed to be the movie we're going to talk about in October, and it is now not October.
You know, there's nothing better than a year worth of Octobers, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, this was really just to, just when you were starting to get the withdrawals from it not being October, we came in and we were like, hey, it's October.
Good news, guys.
Pull out your Halloween decoration. It's all good. Just a lot of stuff going on. If you follow us on our social medias, I'm sure you know why. I don't know. We didn't even talk about that. Did you want to say anything, JL, or?
It's fine. I don't mind. I'm open about it. It's all over my social media.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of threw you off track for a little while?
Yeah, so in October, I wound up in the hospital for 5 days. I thought they were all overreacting. And I just thought I had a pinched nerve in my back that was making my legs and feet numb. Because it's not really out of the ordinary for me. So by November, I found out that I have multiple sclerosis. So it's been kind of getting used to what that means. Thankfully, I don't have a very aggressive form of multiple sclerosis. But nonetheless, I have to take medication every day, and it's only by injection. Yay. And so now I just deal with a lot of fatigue, and if I don't get enough rest and water, I get really bad vertigo. And then last month, my daughter had surgery to correct she's very knock-kneed, so her knees come way in, and she stands on the insides of her ankles. So we had that going on. So it was just all of a sudden in October, everything just sort of turned upside down. So we've just sort of been like catching my breath, getting back on my feet, figuring things out. So
yeah, and I will say JL through the whole thing was very ready to be like, I can do it. No, that's fine. And we were like, no, that's okay. You take time and kind of decompress on it. So if anybody has gone through anything like that, or has any suggestions, or just wants to kind of talk about that, just feel free to reach out to JL. Yay. So we also have with us Elizabeth Pierce is here. Jackie, I hope you're going to Viva again this year. JL and I will be there. We keep trying to strong arm Heather into deciding to go to Viva last minute. Has not worked so far. So
Anyone has any, jobs laying around that might give me some Viva money.
But, if you want to also bug her on her social media.
Or just bug me and we can
just make her feel real bad about it.
Make me feel really guilty.
But we are shooting for Heather in 2020. So this year it'll be flat fancy, but next year 3D fancy. We've got Nicole from Germany. Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen? And then we've got Lori from Maryland and Trinity Quist. Hello. Trinity's aunt had MS and was paralyzed from the neck down. So, wow. That's crazy. Hopefully our JL will never have to. Hopefully it'll all be manageable really, really well. So, I'm going to get this started because we started a little bit late. I absolutely love Vincent Price. So I was, of course, the one that had to research it. I will say right off the bat, House on Haunted Hill is one of my all-time favorite films. So it's going to be no surprise to anybody that I absolutely loved every bit of it. I actually got to go to a very special showing of House on Haunted Hill in Chicago, where they actually played the organ to the film. So like it was done back when the film was being projected originally. And then Victoria Price came out to talk about her dad. So we got to see the film and then we got to listen to her for an hour. And he is just an amazing, amazing man. And of course, in my little notes, I had to go a little off into Vincent himself. And this is just, honestly, the tip of the iceberg on Vincent Price. He is so multi-layered. And the more you get to know him, the more he becomes like one of those people that if you could meet somebody, like, bring them back and have a conversation, he'd definitely be one of those people. Not only was he a very successful stage actor, went on to have a very, very, very long film and TV career. He has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for film and for TV. If you look at his IMDb, keep paging down because that thing is massive. And he was so much more than just being an actor. He actually was a Yale graduate with an art degree, I want to say. He loved art. He actually opened for a very short time an art museum in LA. He was an avid gourmet chef and actually wrote a few cookbooks. He also was asked by Sears to come in and design a line of, drawing a blank on what it was. I'll think of it like in 10 minutes. But he also had his own Book of the Month club where you could get books. And of course, they were all like true crime and like thrillers because it's Vincent Price. And one of the things is, even though he was an amazing and studied thespian, he embraced this image of being this anti-hero so much in his film, and he just went full in on it. And he was known to be quite the ham as far as his acting went a lot of times. One of the things I found so funny, especially given the career he ended up having, is he was notoriously superstitious, and he once joked that he kept a horseshoe, a crucifix, and I'm going to say this wrong, a menuza on his front door. So he was also considered to be, I'm sorry. It was, art history from Yale. He also had a syndicated art column in the 1960s. And he would often, he was our today version of Bill Murray is who Vincent Price was. Like, he was the OG Bill Murray because he was showing up at film premieres dressed incognito so that he could play pranks on people that were in the movies.
That's hilarious.
Right? Oh, and it'd be so hard because he wouldn't be able to say anything because he's such a recognizable voice. For those of you that are huge comic nerds like myself, I did not know this, but he was the visual inspiration for the original illustrations for Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange, his full name is actually Stephen Vincent Strange. And while he never won an Oscar, he was in 3 Oscar Best Pictures, which was The Song of Bernadette, Wilson, and The Ten Commandments. So yada, yada, yada. I love Vincent Price. I'm just going to say it. So, the movie that you guys picked out for us to watch is House on Haunted Hill, which was released in 1959. It was remade horribly remade, though I did watch it, in 1999. And there was a follow-up return to House on Haunted Hill. And there are rumors that there is a development of a modern version of it. And this is not to be confused with movies like The Haunting of Hill House and The Book with a similar name. What's funny is I think he starred in like 10 or 12 movies that actually contain the word house in them. So basically, House on Haunted Hill, Vincent Price plays a character by the name of Frederick Lauren, and he has invited a group of strangers, 5 strangers, to come to this notoriously haunted house where a bunch of people have been murdered and chopped up, and their heads have not been found or located, and the heads are said to whisper in the night, right? So he invites all these people who he very specifically picks for, and let me say, there are some plot holes in this movie, I'm not going to lie. He picks these people based on their need for money, like someone's a gambler, and various reasons. And if they stay the night and survive the night, they will get $10,000. But if they don't make it through the night and wind up dead, their heirs will receive the $10,000. And basically, he says that this was a party his wife wanted to throw, which is very important into the plot, because the wife has plans of her own for her dearly soon to be, hopefully departed husband.
I feel like right now I wish I had like a little organ over here and I could be like, dun, dun, dun.
I love it. Okay, the other thing with this film, and this is the reason why I was so excited that it was this film that was picked, is that the director was William Castle. And William Castle was known for producing these really quick, low-budget B movies, but they were fun and good B movies. But what he also did, he ended up striking off on his own, but what he did is he drummed up excitement. So every film had something that went on in the showing of the film itself. His first film was macabre, and to drum up publicity for it, he gave every person who would come to the movie $1,000 life insurance policy in case they died of fright during the film. And then to go on with that theme, he also had nurses, like people dressed as nurses in the lobbies of the theater, and it had hearses parked out front. I mean, come on, right? I wish they did stuff like that, right? And then when House on Haunted Hill came out, the big like tagline for that was "Consult your doctor, bring your seatbelts," and it was a film that was filmed in the New Wonder, which was Emergo, which the thrills would fly right into the audience. And basically what that was, the Emergo machine was when Vincent Price walks out with that skeleton and he's got that this thing, the contraption. That is basically, they had a skeleton as that was coming out. They had a skeleton fly across the audience. I mean, how fun is that, right? The other thing, before we get into a little bit of trivia about the movie, is that the house itself, right? The house itself is famous. It is actually the Ennis House, which was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, and it's over by the Griffith Park Conservatory in LA. So it's in Los Feliz in Los Angeles. And not only was House on Haunted Hill filmed there, it was also used in Blade Runner. Glorificus's mansion was the location in Buffy, The Rocketeer, and just a ton more movies that were actually filmed on that location. And the architecture of the building is actually really known for the Aztec design that was very popular in the 20s and 30s. The other thing, the large gross of this film is what inspired Alfred Hitchcock to create his own low-budget horror film. You might have heard of it. Little-known film called Psycho.
No big deal.
No big deal. And what was funny is that William Castle was also a big fan of Hitchcock himself as well. It's so funny because I actually sent a picture to Heather and JL because when the film first starts, right, it's a black screen and you wonder, like, is something wrong? Why is it not playing? And then all of a sudden you start to hear like these bangs and all that kind of stuff, followed by like this horrific ear-piercing scream. My cat like puffed up like a Halloween cat and was like staring at the TV like, what the hell was that?
I forgot to tell you that my cat did the same thing. He was in Brent's lap, remember it came on, and he like panicked and just took off running everywhere. All over. I was like, oh yeah, guess I should have warned you. I knew this was coming.
At least we know we have protector cats, right?
That's right.
And that was actually designed to be a jump scare gimmick for what are you eating? Because if you imagine it in like a theater way back in 59 where this wasn't a very common thing to happen, to hear like don't eat it. Sorry. My cat is a teenager, so it's been interesting around here lately. But I just can imagine that, like hearing that and then all of a sudden hearing this piercing scream and not expecting it all in this darkened theater. I mean, how amazing would that have been? And then my final little piece of trivia was Dr. David Trent, the wife Annabelle's lover, was actually went later on in life to star on a stage adaptation of Sextet, which was a Mae West film, and he died on stage.
What?
Right? Isn't that insane? I don't know why I find that so crazy.
So many twists and turns.
I know. It's so much good information. Oh, I guess they're remaking Psycho again. I just checked in on everybody because I have my notes up. Oh, somebody has this cookbook.
What? Is there a list? Is there like a book list of the Vincent Price book club? Because I want it.
You need to look into it, right?
I'm like going to. I'm going to look.
Oh, Tiffany M says, no words of wisdom for JL, but I really need to give her the in-flight emergency lecture because she is rocking her 60s stewardess vibe. Let's see. And then Trinity Quest said, here's to modern meds. Vincent was one of Trinity's favorite actors. Jaylyn is here. Hi. She is the one with the cookbook. So we're coming to your house then for dinner, right? Okay, excellent. Miss Golden Girl 5 is here. Jaylyn, okay, we are coming to your house for dinner because she just said Betrayal at the House on the Hill, the board game, is freaking awesome. That is my favorite board game ever. Oh my God, I love it so much. Trinity says, screw the potholes. Meghan Markle says, Fall of the House of Usher is amazing too. He did a lot of stuff that was connected to Edgar Allan Poe. I will confess to frequently going to sleep at night listening to him read Poe stories.
Oh, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite. That's why I love it. And no one else. He's scary.
Tiffany says she's in love with how much I love this movie. It's cracking her up. Oh, just wait. Buckle up, right? This is what the tagline said. Oh no, why didn't they leave it alone? Good things alone. Yeah. Anyone know the release? Okay. All right. Cool. So, I am gonna find out if I remain friends with my friends by going round robin and finding out their thoughts on this movie. Starting with Jill.
I feel like you always start with me.
Because I usually know, like, if I'm gonna get the most divisive opinion, it's gonna usually come from you, and I like it.
I love this movie. This is the kind of like suspense, or this is like the closest into like horror flicks that I can deal with. And I feel like the older the horror movie, the better, because the less gruesome it is, and actually scary. But yeah, I've always loved this movie, and it was very enjoyable to watch it again. And I feel like the sign of a good movie is when you've seen it before, but it still like makes you nervous about what's going to happen, even though you know it's going to happen. You keep thinking, maybe this time I watch it, like something different will happen instead of what I know is going to happen. So I think that's a really good sign of like a suspense thriller kind of movie, is that even though you've seen it multiple times, it still gets you every time you watch it. I still have those moments where I'm like yelling at people, like, why are you doing that? What is wrong with you? Don't go over there. Don't.
Who does that?
Let's keep going down into the basement where the vat of acid is. Sure, sounds great.
I'm like, stupid girl, don't open the curtain and like go into the part of the house that you're not supposed to be in. Like just cut it out. Like, why are you leaving your room? Everyone thinks that you're just in there or dead. So don't leave your room and go looking for the other dude, because stay in your room. That's what he told you to do. So those
plan.
kind of movies where I'm still like yelling at people either in my head or out loud, to cut it out. Like, that's a sign of a really good movie that kind of stands the test of time and doesn't need to be remade at all, ever, even though they did. And then it was just, I don't even think I saw that one. I was like, but yeah, I loved it. I thought the overacting was perfect for the movie, considering the content of the movie. I thought it was hilarious, though. I felt like the inside of the house didn't totally match the outside of the house, which I was always like, every time they did an outside shot of the house, I was like, that's not the house they're in, because look inside of it. It's like a creepy old mansion, like, I don't know, like an old, like, Gothic Victorian mansion or something they were inside, but then you look on the outside and it was, like, oddly modern compared to the inside. I was like, it's making my OCD go a little crazy there. But otherwise, I think it is one of those movies where you could pretty much call it perfect the way it is. Not a lot would ever really need to go into it to change it, because it was just done so well the first time around.
I agree. Now, as many of you might know, our dear Heather is not a huge fan of horror/thrillers. Well, thrillers she's okay with. You will never get her to watch Halloween or anything like that. So, I'm very curious to find out what Heather thought of this movie.
Funnily enough, this movie and what's the movie? Hold on, with Don Knotts. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. That's the name of it. And there's another one with Fred McMurray. And when I was a child, those were my, like, if I wanted like a spooky movie, these were the movies that I would watch. And so, and I think the way that I found The House on Haunted Hill as a kid was I saw it on TV and I thought it was The Ghost of Mr. Chicken because it's about a haunted house too. And clearly a totally different film. But I love it. I've loved it since I was probably like 7 or 8, which is saying a lot because I don't do scary films at all. And it's not, I think it's not scary. And I've always loved, there's something about Vincent Price as an actor that regardless of what he's in, he's so compelling. And I'm just like, even as a little kid, I was just always drawn to him because he's like this kind of creepy persona, but at the same time, there's something warm about him. And you think, oh, he would probably be a fun person to hang out with. I don't know. So even as a kid, like, I think I just picked up on, like, he was super interesting and there's a lot going on there. And so this is one of my favorite. I watch this movie like a couple times a year. And like JL said, it's because it's so well done. It's a simple story. There are plot holes and it's overacted, but it's overacted in a way that I don't think movies then or now have replicated, because the timing of everything is so good that it doesn't read as cheesy. It's just a little bit overdone. So you don't get that like cringy, like, oh, why did they do, like, what were they thinking when they did that? And a lot of it has to do with the banter that happens between Annabelle and like their banter is fantastic. Like some of the one-liners and like the zingers, like, didn't we have a good time? Wasn't it great that one time you poisoned me? Or like all of those little like one-liners back and forth, really, like, that is to me more the story than the actual like competition, so to speak. Like it's the story between the two of them. Now, like as an adult, as I watch it, like for me, that's the best part of the movie versus like all the drama and the twists and the turns and who's gonna die and who's gonna live and why are you doing that? It's those little subtleties in the story between the two of them that like keep me coming back to it as an adult. I think there's a lot of it that's super camp. Like I love even in the credits when it says like the skeleton as himself. Like yeah. Like I love those things. I think they're hilarious when like films do that, which makes it even funnier that like the skeleton was part of like the original like theater like showing. So that makes it like even funnier to me. I don't know. So I love all of that. And the other part of it, like I think the camera, even though like Hitchcock wasn't huge at this point, like a lot of those, they were so like, they were telling a story through a lot of the camera angles, which is another thing that didn't happen in the 50s. And so like a lot of the close-up shots of each character, you learned a little bit about them. If you look, one of my favorite scenes is when they have the coffins. I love when they have the coffins all laid out with the guns in them. I love that they're dirty. Like, where have they been? Has she been planning this for so long that they're dusty? Like, those little details. And then even when he's handing out the guns, I love that when Nora walks up, she's left-handed. And then later on, I'm pretty sure she shoots with her right hand. I'm not sure about that, but I just noticed like it's like those little details. There's like a few little scenes where they zoom in on like I can't think of the older lady's name, but they zoom in on some of her jewelry. And
that's Robert Mitchum's sister. I can't think of her first name.
I can't either. Anyway,
but that was her. Sorry, that was her from her personal collection. The ring, and William found it so intriguing that he wanted her not only to wear it in the film, but that's why he did the close-up of it.
Like you just pick up on like the personalities of the characters through those little shots here and there, and I love that. I love like the close-up shot when Annabelle's laying in the bed And like there's so much of that I think is because you're thinking he keeps closing the curtain and you're thinking she's going to be gone when he opens it up. Like there's all these little things that they do in the film to trick your brain into thinking something else is going to happen, and that never does. So overall, I love this movie. It'll always be, I think, one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yay! So we all stay friends. I love it. I mean, I can't add too much more to what you guys already said, but the fact that Vincent Price loves so much that what he was doing and had so much fun doing it, I think that adds to, I can't remember who said it. Somebody said it in the chat, the enticing Mr. Prince. And it was that warmth that Heather's talking about. And I think that came from like his joy of just doing what he loved. That kind of drew you in. I mean, honestly, if I'm completely honest with myself, there's only one thing in this movie that I have troubles with, and I think it's more because of my limited hearing. But the music is so much louder than the dialogue, and for me to hear dialogue actually comes out volume up. So when Scream Queen Nora takes the stage, I'm like, oh, my ears.
He has the most annoying scream ever, too.
It was so loud.
You brought this on yourself.
And yeah, kind of what you were talking about as well, that sorry, I got distracted by the fact that Friday Ketchup is here and she really likes Jail's lipstick. So, okay, I need to stop reading comments. The fact that, again, the movie, you get invested in who is going to win. Is it going to be Lorne or is it going to be Annabelle? Like, who's going to be the one to finally get one over on each other? And even though it is such a simple story, I love that it is, but it's kind of genius in the fact that they set this up knowing that Nora, but how they knew it was going to be Nora. You know what I mean? That's the plot hole part of it. But like, oh, this girl is going to get, like, we get her super worked up and hysterical and we pull all this haunting stuff and she will inevitably shoot her. Both of our hands are clean as far as the murder goes. That way you'll get all the money. I mean, it really kind of is a little brilliant in that aspect. So, and I think that plays into why this is so everlasting and so enjoyable year after year after year. Plus, I loved all of Annabelle's outfits. Colleen and I were talking about it the other day, how we want all of her wardrobe. My question is, all of this said and done, do you guys think the house was actually haunted? We know that Pritchard had spent the night there and barely survived. But again, he's an alcoholic. So was it the alcohol? Did something really happen there? So do you think the house was haunted? Yes or no? And if yes, what points you in that direction? And I'll start with Heather this time.
Oh, I think every house is haunted. So trick question. No, I think it has. There's some elements that I think lead me to believe yes, but most of that is because of the history of the house itself and how many people have gone missing and like the lore I think of the house beforehand, not so much the events that happen during this like overnight period. I think, yeah, but again, I think every house is haunted. Especially the new ones with granite countertops.
The granite contains some ghosts.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
JL, what about you?
I don't know. I think the fact that there's like a vat of like acid in the cellar that can just leave bones behind. Obviously, whoever built it was a little warped, and that could obviously, be the reason why people like disappeared. They're probably all in the acid vat in the cellar. I think that I personally felt like watching the movie, I'm inclined to believe, because of all the like secret passages and like weird rooms, that there was someone else there, that it was probably like the crazy like original owner of the house was still alive and in there, and everyone thinks like it's haunted or weird things happened there, and so they picked this house, and then you've got like this, murder mystery plot thing happening, but on top of it there's like this weird oddness of what is up with this house. There's like these empty rooms that don't make sense, and there's parts of the house that are like curtained off, and walls that open up and close and stuff. So it's like obviously there was somebody else there manipulating the situation. Whether or not I think it was because of a haunting, I tend to believe that it was very calculated and that there was someone else there. Maybe even the caretakers, because let's face it, they were weird and creepy. So I'm more inclined to believe that there's somehow like an outside way to get in and torture people's psyche.
Well, there would have to be, because how would Annabelle have gotten outside that window?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there was a way to get out somehow. So
new business idea.
Yeah. Can you survive the scaring?
By the way, everybody is in agreement that JL, you are looking so good tonight. Your nails are on point, your hair is looking good, your lips. And Lizzie says she's very excited at all the yellow, which I am now realizing Heather is also wearing yellow. So yay! We didn't even plan it.
Look at us. We're like a gradient of sunshine.
I think maybe subconsciously all of us are tired of winter at this point. Yeah, I also think the house definitely is haunted, because something had to have happened in there. Because you know who else had like a pit of acid in the cellar of their house? H.H. Holmes.
Right.
I mean, and he's chopping up bodies and throwing them under. Friday's wearing a hair flower in honor of me. Yay. So yeah, there is no legitimate reason to have a bucket, a bathtub, a vat, a barrel, a trash can full of acid. There's never a good reason to have acid just hanging around, right? So yeah, there had to have been something that went on in that house. You got to wonder, maybe there's something about the house that causes people to kind of do the unthinkable. But one of the things that still to this day I wish they would have figured out was like when Nora and what was it, the airplane pilot guy were knocking on the walls, and I'm like, what was there? There was obviously something there. What was there? You never told us what was there. I need to know what was there.
No.
Oh, and I swear, one of my favorite moments though is when the groundskeeper woman pops up behind Nora and does the and this like floats out of the room.
It's too much.
Oh my god, it was perfect. Because of course, why wouldn't you? Why? Because that's if you can't see, that's how you walk. People that cane, they just use the cane nowadays because too many people get freaked out when they walk around like this.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, it was socially acceptable.
Dark room because one, that was good for her to just kick it in the house. It was a weird, random, empty room.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And the blood on the ceiling, which someone mentioned earlier, as I think it was Mary mentioned earlier as well. Yeah, so many horror movies inspired by good old H.H. Holmes. So yeah, okay. So we're all in consensus that the house is haunted. What is I'm gonna ask one more normal question before I get to the one you hate. What is your favorite jump scare moment? Mine, honestly, isn't really even. I'm a huge fan of a build up of suspense. I like that feeling of. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with it, of feeling really tense of what is going to happen. Oh my God. And for me, it was just the simple act of, good Lord, I can't remember his name, the airline pilot, being in his room and the doorknob just turns ever so slowly and then turns back. And he's like, what? And goes and opens the door and goes out in the hallway. And they always show him looking this way. And you're like, oh, good God, they're the other way, right? Because that's what you expect. And then so you get all tensed up for that moment. And then there's nothing there. And you're like, okay. So those are the little moments for me. JL, what about you?
I think for me, it's actually when what's the wifey's name again?
Annabelle.
When she's in the room and her lover comes in and opens the curtain, and I'm always not exactly it's been a little bit of time since I've seen it, but I've seen it more than once, and so I was like, what happens in this scene? And so you're kind of waiting for something really dramatic to happen because he's just staring at her and he's got this weird dialogue, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they know each other. And then you just see her chest raise up and then go back down, and you realize that she's alive, and you're like, does she like him?
Because he does, when he goes in there, there's very much this feeling in that scene of you don't know why he's there. Are you weird or
dead? What's gonna happen? So for me, that's one of my favorite scenes because I think that that's one of the least expected moments, especially if you've never seen the movie before. That's one of those moments where you're like, oh, everything just changed. The movie just totally changed directions, and everything that I thought that was going on is not really what has been going on, and I'm about to have my mind blown.
Like it. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, it has to be almost that same thing, except for you've had this lead up. It's kind of like your two ideas married, because it's you've had this lead up to her saying that her husband would kill her if he could, and all of these little things that you think he is going to kill her by the end of this. And so one of the scarier moments for me is when Lance, is that his name, walks up the stairs and sees her hanging, and you think, oh, okay, so I don't believe she did this. So what's going on? And then you see her in the bed, and then again with the curtain closing and opening, and at that point I'm thinking, I don't think she's dead. I don't think she's dead. Something is weird happening here. So every time, I can't even think of Vincent's name in the movie. Mr. Lauren. What is his name? Anyway, so every time he goes to the bed to talk to her and he's saying all these things to her, you're thinking, he's going to kill her now? Does he know she's not dead? Like, because in my brain, I'd already worked it out that she's not dead, but I feel like he's going to kill her. And then when the lover guy comes in and you're like, oh, this is totally different. Like, so I think it's kind of the same, but it's like that slow build in my like brain every time of like, oh, is he gonna, because we've been led to believe that they want to kill each other, who's gonna do it first? And then, and I even like when I was little, I would always think that she was gonna kill him while she was laying in the bed, like she had somehow gotten a gun and she was hiding it there, and so when he comes to the bed she's gonna kill him. I had all these like little imaginary things happening in my head, so when like the plot twists, it's kind of that same like, oh, okay. So that's like one of my favorite like build-ups, I think.
I would agree. What I think is funny is Yolanda said she just watched the scene with the doorknob, and Mary says, "Hey, if somebody's I think it's hilarious, but I'm sure she meant jiggling." But I really love thinking about a giggling doorknob at an unknown house that's haunted. I'm going to be peeing my pants. The funniest thing about that is we know that Mary is not home and she is sitting in some hotel room somewhere. And in this moment, right now, she's looking over at that doorknob being like, don't you turn. Don't do it. So I'd love to think she's like laying on the bed with a face mask on. Staring down her doorknob. What would you do? What would you do if you were in a haunted house and your doorknob turned? Now, most of you guys know I have been a ghost hunter for a long time. So the ghost hunter in me I would have to get up and I would have to go see what was jiggling my doorknob and make sure it was not something like a ghost or something even more scary, a human being. So, Heather, what do you think you would do with a jiggling doorknob?
Well, based on prior experience, I think I would chase them. But I don't know. Honestly, I think it depends on how spooked I was at that point. Or how much, like, I don't know. I'm very much a reactionary person based on how I'm feeling at the moment. So I think that would kind of be dependent. But my first thought would be to like hide behind the door. Because that's logical. But then you get a chance to like see who it is.
Yeah, have it just kind of creak open like, oh, they did out the door and then it just opened. Yeah,
right.
Not a bad idea.
So that's like my first response right at this very moment. That's what I would do.
Okay, just so you know, Mary said she was looking at her doorknob, and she said that she would tell Christy to go check it out, her cousin. Poor Christy. Christy would, though. I could totally see her doing that. What about you, JL?
Well, I will say that this has happened to me on more than one occasion.
In a haunted house, you had a jiggling doorknob?
Not in a haunted house, but I'm just saying, like, I have been in situations where I have been in rooms or hotel rooms and things where the door did jiggle. I always know it was a person on the other side doing it.
That's scarier.
Mm-hmm.
I won't get into any specifics because some of it is not.
Yeah.
Information that I sort of throw out there all the time. But I laid there frozen. Like, could not move, barely breathed, like just waited for it to go away, and they did, thankfully. But yeah.
I think Friday Ketchup just summed up my feelings on it. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Because I think in a haunted house, I would throw the door open, I'd jump out into the hallway, try to catch it, get out my equipment, but if it was that type of situation where I was at a hotel room and like I thought more than likely it would be a human being on the other side, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I don't know. That's scarier to me.
And if you have cell phones in this scenario?
all these times were pre-cell phone.
Yeah, mine was too.
Okay.
Yeah, my first thought pattern is it potentially could be a person on the other side of the door. So I am not going to get up and get stabbed as soon as I open the door.
Yeah. Okay, I do think we're freaking poor Mary out.
Sorry, Mary. Put a chair under the door.
Sorry, it's too snowy for someone to come out and rattle your doorknob anyway. It's too snowy. It's too cold. You're fine. You're fine. I do have to repeat. Thankfully, Lori D actually came on, joined us on the chat today to let us know that her daughter is a funeral director. And she said it happened at the funeral home.
What?
And at that point, she said, time to go home.
Nope. Gotta leave now.
Mary says she has to stay there tomorrow night, too. It's fine. It's snowy. We're in Wisconsin. Everybody's not Wisconsin.
Oh.
Okay, well, we're going to distract Mary now with actually talking about, and I actually thought about this pre-movie night, so I actually got a leg up on it this time. So I'm not doing the whole who could the movie do without kind of thing, because quite frankly, could do without anybody but Vincent Price. So that's too easy. So we're just going to be, if you were forced by Satan's hand to save yourself by recasting this movie, who would you cast? You have to recast at least two players, one of them being Vincent Price's character and one of them being another character of your choice. It looks like Heather was doing a dance, so
I'm really excited about my answer because I thought of this afternoon, and then after your whole description, it's perfect.
You better not steal mine.
I probably am, because I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Go ahead.
First, you can go first.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Benedict Cumberbatch.
I thought about him. I'm
the whole Doctor Strange thing. I was like, it all makes sense, because I was trying to think who to me is kind of more so on screen than persona, is that gives me that same cold and warm feeling at the same time, and that's who it is for me. And then they both have that very distinctive voice. It's something about the voice for me that made me think of him. I don't know, but then when you said that Doctor Strange, that totally made sense to me when you said that. Yeah, so that's definitely one. And then I think a really interesting cast. I'm not sure if it would be the pilot. I'm not sure exactly which character he would replace, but I really want to see Donald Glover in this movie. There's something that seems so wholesome about him, and then he can just turn it. So maybe he's the lover guy. What's his name? Why do we not know this guy? That
Trent.
guy.
Dr. Trent something.
Yeah, so maybe he's the doctor. I feel like I want Donald Glover in this movie.
I would watch that.
Me too.
Because I would be okay. I actually wouldn't mind them doing a Fox Live thing where they redid this movie.
Yeah.
Just in a fun homage to it, and didn't change it at all and made it as cheesy as it was. Just because now I'm terrified, since you didn't take mine, I'm terrified that JL's going to. So I would throw it out there. JL's gonna go last. So I actually was gonna go with Benedict Cumberbatch. because I love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I agree with everything you said, and those were all the reasons why I would have chosen him. And then I thought, well, I think it's going to be predictable if I choose him. So I'm like, let's try to be a little more unpredictable, right? So then I thought, you know, who else is very like, well, I tried to go with the playful side of Vincent Price. Like, who is playful but can play like an anti-hero? And then it was like, bam, Tom Hiddleston.
That was my other one. This close.
Because his voice, the way he projects for Loki, Hiddleston's got such a range, but I would love to see him more in kind of that Loki characteristic playing the Vincent Price character, and to recast Nora, our Scream Queen, I decided on Jamie Lee Curtis. If you're going to have somebody screaming in a film, who better than the OG Scream Queen, right?
True. It's true. I like it.
All right, Jael. Have we stolen all of your picks?
No.
Yay!
In fact, I am probably going to be ousted from being Classy Chick after this.
Yeah, no, I'm curious.
I feel like if there's going to be like a weird drunk guy in the movie, like you don't really, like his character doesn't really fit into what's happening at any point in the movie because he has his own agenda and nothing ever really gets like resolved and you just don't really know. So if you need somebody that odd, then you need Gary Busey.
He scares me so much.
That's kind of brilliant. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my God, that would be hilarious.
That character. So, I was thinking Elle Fanning would be good for Nora. I've seen stuff that she's done where she's gotten scared. I think she's got a lot more range than people give her credit for. And for Vincent Price, only because I have seen him in other movies, and I know he's more known really for one specific movie series right now, but I have seen him in other things, and so I can see where his range is. But the dude that plays Kylo Ren,
Adam Driver.
Oh,
I like him. He's a great actor.
He is. He's so annoying as Kylo Ren, though.
I don't like him so much there, but he's a really good actor in other things.
Yeah,
I think, was he in Girls, by the way, or no?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Yeah, and I think, like, even though Kylo Ren is a very annoying character, and we can all agree on that, there's points where you, like, see him, and it's, like, sort of creepy, but then at the same time, you're sort of like, I want to, ooh, it'll be okay. And I feel like Vincent Price, he kind of has that same, like, draw. He's sort of creepy, but at the same time, there's something about him that's, like...
You still want him to win?
And comforting, and...
You'd let him jiggle your giggling doorknob any day.
Not quite that far, but
But if I have to choose a ghost.
Right?
So I just thought with some of the other stuff that I've seen him in, I think between that and his like angsty, I want to be like my evil grandfather, he would do a good job in that role.
I could see it. Some alternate castings we have from Yolanda. Natalie Wood as Nora. I am A-okay with Natalie Wood being in anything.
Yep.
Madame Defarge. Well, hello. You snuck in on us. I love it. She puts out Christopher Lee. Interesting. I like it. Friday Catch Up says Anthony Head Giles from Buffy.
Oh. See
I
that?
could see it. I could see it. I could see it. Laura D says Christopher Walken. What we need is more skeleton.
He just beat the skeleton. Like,
show hands. Where am I? Mads Mikkelsen in place of Vincent Price. I don't think I know who that is. Who's Mads Mikkelsen?
I don't know.
I'm Googling. Has anybody noticed when they go on Google now on their phones, it comes up with like news stories they think you like, which I'm not mad at, but it's really kind of creepy because it knows what I like.
He's a Galen Orso from Rogue One.
Oh, yes. He would be very...
Yeah. He's creepy. I would be scared if he was jiggling my doorknob. That out there.
I would definitely stay in bed. Mary says, Jill, great thinking outside the box. He says, come on, he knows how to be creepy as far as Christopher Walken. And Friday Catch Up says, one of the reasons why I don't own a smartphone. Jaylyn says, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
I don't want.
He is very, very creepy. Very creepy. But in that like sly, greasy. Well, so I guess he could play a millionaire really well. Oh, I'm coming around to this idea. Mylar says, plenty of people want Mads to jiggle their door.
I just gave you guys that one for free.
You know, I think we may have birthed a new
euphemism.
Yeah, euphemism. Matthew Gray Goobler.
Just the hat.
Please. She also says David Tennant, which is freaking love David Tennant, so he can be in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have that really good sense of fun. Oh, he's in Criminal Minds.
Oh.
I don't know too much about him.
And I recognize him from something. I recognize him from 500 Days of Summer. That's all.
Oh, Dark Rose had a stressful day and she made it in. I'm sorry. Hopefully you can decompress well. Oh, her mom fell and had to get 4 staples. Oh, good Lord. Is she okay? I mean, she has staples in her head, so she's probably not feeling great, but hopefully that's... Because usually with heads, they're very hard and they bleed really terribly and, you know, it's very horrible, but usually heads are good. All right. So, yes. So that, okay, thing. Oh, bad headache. Yeah. So for next month, which is going to be March, somebody mentioned earlier that they've been binging You Must Remember This podcast to go to sleep at night, and I absolutely love the podcast. And she's been doing Hollywood Babylon, and she was talking about Lupe Valdez a couple podcasts ago, and I was absolutely intrigued by this woman. She was like the Mexican Betty Grable, and I was like, hey, that'd be great. Let's do Lupe. And I went onto Amazon Prime to look to see what was available streaming and everything. The very few were on there, and they were all DVD. So it required a purchase. So I'm like, great. So then I look for Dorothy Dandridge, and again, same problem. And then I just wanted to do somebody that wasn't expected or that doesn't get enough. You know what I mean? And I'm just having a really hard time finding somebody that I'm just really disappointed in what's available in streaming. So I even was going to do Powell, because we had that request, and not a lot of his stuff is streaming either.
It's so frustrating. Why?
I know. There we go. Adequately represents my feelings. So, okay. Oh, do you have to keep her up all night? Just gotta keep an eye on her for concussion. Denise Marie is popping in saying, did anybody happen to mention Jack Nicholson? Creepy, yes. But she's not sure if he can be as classy as Vincent Price.
True.
Anna Mae Wong, maybe? Mae Clark?
That's who I was thinking. But I don't know what's... I was just looking for her. And I'm not seeing much. But there might be. I'm just on my phone and it's being slow.
And also somebody was saying Thelma Todd, Mae Clark. So Tim Curry. I love Tim Curry. So here's what I think we're gonna do. Put any of your suggestions for who we should feature next month up on our Facebook page. I would like to do, if possible, a person of color, because I just like to. And there's so many good actors and actresses in that category, and I really want to find somebody. So it might be that either we pull from one of your suggestions and just go with whatever movie of theirs is available streaming. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Because I think we can probably find at least one of them that is streaming, but we wouldn't have probably enough to do a poll like we do every month. What do you think?
I can put up a suggestion post, and then everybody can just suggest an act. Are we doing a female lead?
Yeah, because I mean, we kind of gave it up to the boys lately.
Everybody can just throw out some names, and then we can, or if we'll do all the research, trying to find something to stream, and if we find more than one, then we can put up a poll. And if not,
because I want to do somebody who's not as well known, because that podcast just really intrigued me, and so many of these amazing actors and actresses out there that we don't hear that much about. And so I really want to feature, because Lizzie's saying Carmen Miranda, who I absolutely love, and I definitely think we should do something on Carmen one of these days. But when you think of a Hispanic actress, that's who you think of. And there are so many other ones that it would be kind of fun to delve into that. So yeah, so JL's going to put it up on the Facebook page, Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks, and we will pick from one of those. Now I'm thinking of Carmen Miranda, so I'm like, so put them up on there, and then we'll pick from there, and then hopefully we'll do the beginning of the Maria Montez. Ooh. So yes, hopefully some of you are going to Viva this year, JL and I, sans Heather, but we will have Flat Fancy there with us. So if you want to get your picture taken with her. And then we are going to be
Ooh, I can pick up my own swimsuit.
We are going to be doing the meetup again at the piano bar on Friday night. Time to be announced. And yeah, so come on down and hang out with us for a while, chat, and we will see you then. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. If you're going to miss us in the meantime, be sure to follow us on all the social media. Oh my gosh. Okay. Lizzie Violet just said Dolores Del Rio. I was actually
just looking her up.
I was looking her up earlier because I found, when I tell you, I went down a Vincent Price rabbit hole happily today doing my research. There was later in life when people would ask for his autograph, he would sign it Dolores Del Rio.
What?
Yeah. So people asked him, like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, I always told her I'd keep her name alive.
Oh.
Oh my God. I'm like, who is this woman? I don't know who this is. So yes, I think this is going to be a great idea. Countdown to Viva. Looks like Mary's going to be there. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Follow us on all the social medias as a Vintage Vanity. Heather is How to Be Fancy, and Jael is Modern Retro Gal. So thanks, guys, so much. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. And then Jen awkwardly finds the stop button.